Hello, everybody. Welcome to the triumphant post-game show from Real Hawk Talk. This is Brian Nemhauser. I am going to be joined by folks on the Real Hawk Talk crew. One of them just joining now. Seahawks beat the Colts 28-16. And there's a ton to go over in this game. I will let everybody know post-game shows for Real Hawk Talk are a little bit different than the weekday shows. This is more of an Evan production. And so if you have children listening, if you don't like foul language, this may not be your favorite, but you're going to hear this is a PG-13 at least. And depending on if you've looked at Evan's Twitter feed, it borders on NC-17. So I have to start. I have to start by asking Evan for his off-the-cuff reaction to that first Seahawks game.
Yeah, this is my off-the-cuff reaction. So that was the most relaxing, inspiring, positive, all-around positive Seahawks game in a very, very long time. Shane Waldron, what a showing. Russell Wilson, what a showing. DK Metcalf, what a showing. Tyler Lockett, what a showing. D. Eskridge, we hope you're okay. Gerald Everett, what a showing. Will Dissly, what a showing. Offensive line, what a showing. Chris Carson, what a showing. Jamal Adams, what a showing. Darrell Taylor, what a showing. Guys, what most impressed me today, honestly, was our defense. And I recognize all week I've been saying, don't get fooled by how well this defense might play today, but they played even better than I could have imagined. I mean, for all intents and purposes, they were in control of the complete game. To shut down any offense in the NFL to 10 points for, 47 of whatever minutes, it's pretty impressive. So I don't know what to say out of that. Was amazing. They came to play today.
Yeah, Nathan, if you scripted a first game for the Seahawks, it would be hard to come up with a lot of notes of what you'd want to see different, I would think, in this game. I think there's probably a few things, and I know we'll touch on them, but what was your impression? Actually, let me ask a different question. Where did the Seahawks perform noticeably better than what your expectations were for this game?
I thought they looked incredibly cohesive on offense for the Waldron's first game. Like, I didn't catch the very first drive, so maybe I missed something there, but I think they scored a touchdown on their first drive, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah. So
two drives.
Yeah, so they got into a weird funk there a little bit, trying to force the ball to DK, it felt like, but the offense just looked ready to go from the very first snap, and I thought that was a big surprise to me. I thought they would be really inconsistent. I thought there would be great flashes, but it felt pretty tight from start to end.
Yeah. Sorry, just getting up the chat up here. So I have to say, this was probably the least nervous I've ever been heading into a Seahawks season opener, in a long time. I started getting the nerves a little bit just before kickoff, but I don't know. I don't know if part of that was lowered expectations for me. I don't know if part of it was I just really liked the matchup with the Colts. I don't know, but even after the first drive that the Colts had, where they went 9 plays, everyone was saying that Jamal Adams was way offside. The play clock was at 0. It was he timed it right at 0. They just hadn't snapped the ball yet. But in any event, they ended up getting a first down there. I thought the defense looked fine. They gave up a couple of plays, but nothing was big. Nothing was egregious. Nothing was super concerning. And then that played out throughout this game. It felt a little bit like Carson Wentz games we've seen before, right? They don't have a lot of weapons to test you on the outside. They keep trying to involve the running backs. He didn't have a Zach Ertz type tight end to utilize. And I just felt like the Seahawks kind of had him in a bag for a lot of the game. But as bullish as I've been on the defensive line, that was a really satisfying performance to watch because it was exactly what I wanted to see. It was not one guy It was not Nick Bosa on the edge that you can just know is going to get sacks and then going to command a triple team, right? Every single member of the Seahawks defensive line that played put pressure on the quarterback today. I'm not 100% sure, but I saw Poona Ford. I saw Brian Monet. I saw Darrell Taylor. I saw Rasheem Green. I saw Carlos Dunlap. I saw Benson Mayowa. Saw Kerry Hyder. Like, that's freaking awesome. Like, that's exactly what this team needs from that defensive line to be what I think could be one of the best pass rushes in the NFL. And yeah, the Colts were missing Fisher on the left tackle side, but the pressure was coming from all over, and their right tackle is very good, and their guards and their center are really good, and they got their asses kicked today. Like, they could not run on the Seahawks defensive line, and they could not pass protect. And they were getting pressure with 4 guys, a fair amount. So I loved, as much as I was looking forward to that was better than I would have expected against that offensive line. And against a team that I thought, was going to do a bunch of dinking and dunking, which they did, which shouldn't allow much time to get to the quarterback. So I thought that was super, super encouraging. And I got to take, I don't know if it's quite an L, but I will just say my first impression of Darrell Taylor when I saw him in training camp was like, he didn't seem that explosive to me. I said that. I also said that Frank Clark, who people had compared him to, didn't really jump out to me in training camp either. And sure as shit, Darrell Taylor looked like Frank Clark on his 2 big pressures today. Like, when he just ran through the right tackle for that sack, like, that looked very much like a Frank Clark kind of play. So really powerful, explosive, and man, Alton Robinson barely even got snaps. Like there's guys that didn't play that can add pressure. So I was super excited about that. Evan, anything for you that like was the biggest pleasant surprise?
Biggest pleasant surprise, I think it's really just maybe it's the defensive line particularly. They had 3-4 sacks on the day, 10 quarterback hits, and I assume more pressures. That's the type of performance we're going to need to see from this defensive line throughout this entire year for this defense to excel. We know that DJ Reed didn't have the best day today. Our corners are a little bit skeptical as they face harder opponents throughout the year. Our pass rush is going to have to maintain that sort of energy. So Darrell Taylor was a stud. Rasheem Green had a good day today.
Ooh, yeah. There were no moments where it was like defensively, like, what the fuck just happened? You know what I mean? Can I read you Rasheem Green's line for a second? He has like a triple double going on here. He had 4 tackles, 3 of them were solo. He had 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 2 passes defensed. Like, that's a damn good day for, an interior lineman.
I mean, he was a dude we were talking about, like, is there any chance he wouldn't make the roster this year? Right? Or at least maybe I floated that
There's
idea.
some folks that had that question. I didn't have that question, but
yeah, no, it's just awesome to see him step up. I'm impressed with how Ken Norton adjusted in the third quarter, going after halftime. There's just not anything really to be super about. Like,
dude, well,
sorry to interrupt here, but
rusher.
Nathan, just a heads up, your audio is super loud.
It's super loud. I'm gonna get into your settings and drop that.
I'll fix that. Are you guys paying attention to those Niner games though?
Yes, I am. It's the Lions have the ball at the 50-yard line with 42 seconds to go.
Are they down 1 score?
They're down 8 points. Yeah. So keep an eye on that.
Is my volume better?
Much better.
It is better. Yes,
okay.
Thank you. I just want to say that the fact that the Seahawks were able to get that much pass pressure without their best pass rusher even active today. I mean, LJ Collier sat out today. Like, they're just saving him for future games. You guys totally aren't paying attention. You missed my joke. Come on.
No, I got your joke.
It got the laugh it deserved.
Well, seriously, add Geno Atkins to the mix.
Can I just call out? Yes. Can I just call out one play randomly? That Tyler Lockett switch catch thing, that first touchdown, was maybe one of the most impressive catches I've ever seen him make. I don't think people realize like how hard it is to turn your body that angle, running full speed against a defender. That was a beautiful pass and a beautiful catch. Tyler Lockett's bag.
The Lions have the ball on the San Francisco 25-yard line with 34 seconds to go, down by 8. First down.
Did we hear the sad news that Jason Barrett tore his ACL?
Oh,
yeah.
That's that guy. He's
a
so
bummer.
good and so trouble. Well, I think I heard Rasheed Mostert left with a knee injury as well.
Yeah, he did. The Jason Barrett is a huge loss for them, but it's a bummer because obviously his career has been plagued with injuries, and he's just an immense talent for them.
Well, I mean, even if the Lions don't come back and tie or win this game, I think the fact that the Lions have 33 points against the 49ers defense is not a good sign for where Robert Saleh's leaving could have an impact on them. But we're not going to spend the whole time talking about the 49ers. I think we'll get into that a little bit after that game finishes. So what about the offense? I mean, this is Shane Waldron's first game. What did you like, Nathan? Did you notice anything that seemed different to you about the way this offense looked versus past offenses for the Seahawks?
I mean, it's the thing that everyone talked about all offseason, right? The tempo. And what I really liked about it is they're not just going fast all the time. They seem to really creatively go like super fast. Yeah, I don't know. It seemed like, after they would catch the defense off guard and get a gain, not necessarily a huge play or anything, but then they would immediately come run right back and then just run the ball or do something right and have something ready to go and just be catching the defense scrambling. And so I thought that was really cool how they did that. That wasn't like a surprise or anything, I guess, but it was definitely fun to watch and interesting to see how that worked.
I have to ask how you were feeling after they came out like running the ball 70% of the plays to start with.
See, I missed the first drive, so like, yeah, so I didn't have any angst over that.
Yeah, Evan, did you have any reaction to that? How are you feeling?
I mean, I was a little concerned. Like the first, yeah, they just kept pounding away with Chris Carson, and he really wasn't breaking away until he did break away, and he, got 30 yards or whatever. But I mean, I loved what I saw from the offense today. Like Nathan said, we've talked about it all off season. They needed to incorporate more tight end usage, stretch the field horizontally, get their players in space. One of the biggest criticisms, honestly, we've had of the Seahawks offense over the past decade is like, we have so many weapons, but we don't get them in space and let them, dodge defenders and get yards after the catch. Like that was completely different today. So, man, Russell was on fire too. He was 70-yard moon ball.
That was one of the best passes I've seen him make, and he's made some amazing ones. But like
2018 Seahawks on that 2nd and 20.
I know
they run down the gut and set up the punt. I'm serious.
Yeah, it was shocking. Even after having seen Russell play for so long, not only was it a great throw, he had a great pocket. And I want to talk about the offensive line and get your impression. I mean, I think that they ended up giving up 4 sacks, but 2 of those were Russell Wilson like sliding in the backfield on like rollouts where he could have thrown it away or he's just trying to keep the clock rolling. So my impression was Kyle Fuller, a guy that none of us were excited to see, seemed to hold up pretty well. When they actually gave up one of the sacks, it was Ethan Posick in there getting blown up by DeForest Buckner. So, I thought that looks like the 49ers got possession. So that fantasy is now over. Anyway, so yeah, I thought that the offensive line performed pretty well. I didn't see a lot of pressure getting into.
What's your read on rotating snaps with him and Fuller, Ethan Posick and Fuller?
We
weren't really expecting that though, were we?
The way they talked about it this week, I thought that might happen. I think Posick hasn't been the starter because it's taken long for him to work his way back from the injury. And I don't know. I just am not a huge Posick guy. So I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it. I guess I'll say that. What about you, Nathan?
They're both fine.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz has never scored more than 17 points against the Seahawks, and he's 0-7 against us.
7? We played Carson Wentz 7 times?
Yeah.
Yes.
Him a lot. So I do. We'll have so many good things to talk about, so we'll come back to it. The one thing that I thought was, at least the first thing that comes to mind, that was less than what I'd hoped for, was the play of DJ Reed. I thought that early on he had a couple zone busts. It seemed like confused about where he's supposed to be. Gave up some easy plays, gave up some third downs. That pass interference penalty seemed pretty questionable. But still, he didn't even need to make that close. The pass was nowhere near him. So I didn't think it was a great day for DJ Reed. Trey Flowers gave up a touchdown pass. I didn't think he stood out as being terrible. He looked like the Trey Flowers I would expect him to be, which is like an average cornerback. So I don't know if you guys had any impressions. Like, do you give any credit to the corners for the fact that there weren't a lot of passes to the receivers, or do you think it's just all that the Colts, weren't even going to try it?
Yeah, I didn't come away nearly as high on the defense as you guys did. The defensive line looked really good. That is a banged up line though, so we'll kind of wait and see on that. But I think there's reason to be optimistic about that. Although I was fairly high on the defensive line to begin with. But I don't know. This was a team that I thought, a really good defense is going to hold them to 10, 13 points. And they only gave up 16, 2 touchdowns and a field goal. But that we talked about it, last Wednesday. There's nobody like skill position wise on this Colts team that is even an average player.
Well, Jonathan Taylor, I think their running backs are definitely above average.
I don't know. Did you see anything that got you excited about Jonathan Taylor in this game?
No, because the Seahawks played him really well. But he was a fantastic player last year. I'm kind of surprised you don't put him in that category.
He's is he even a top 10 running back? I don't even know if it's
not at this point.
Not and that's for as much as a running back can matter. So I don't know. I didn't see anything that made me think, oh yeah, this defense is definitely going to be okay. Other than the defensive line playing pretty well.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I'm not shocked by that. That's why we have you on the show, to provide the other perspectives. But I thought that I was also a little surprised about how much Ugo Amadi played. I didn't see nearly as much Marquise Blair out there as I would have expected. I saw a couple glimpses of him. And you know what else is bullshit? Carlos Dunlap's sack on the 2-point conversion does not count as a sack.
Why?
I don't know. I went to look on that to double check, but it's not showing up. He's showing up as 0 sacks, and the Seahawks only have 3 sacks registered. So
that should count as a sack.
I would think it would count as a sack, but it's not showing up there. So
because 2-point conversions don't count as touchdowns, but I think you still get a tackle, or you should get
right. And if you tackled for loss, I think that all.
Man, I hope D. Eskridge is okay.
I think he's gonna be out.
That was just a concussion. He'll be fine. I thought at first it was a helmet to helmet hit, but it wasn't. It was a legit hit. He had his head down, but he looked pretty good.
He looked really good.
Yeah. What did you guys think of it? What did you guys think?
That kid's faster than I expected, actually.
He's gonna give. He's a real weapon. His ability to turn upfield and get going quickly, and then he's not just like some teeny tiny, track guy. He is able to make moves. He looks running back-esque, right? So he's not going to ever be a guy that's going to plow over guys or anything like that. But he seems to really, really have a good feel for how to run with the ball in his hands. And I think those two end arounds, he looked explosive. They got at least 6 yards on both. Mm-hmm. So that's something that defenses are going to have to really respect, because the other thing is he's going to be gone real fast. If you don't get him, you're not gonna get him, right? He's going to go. So I think he adds something really, really cool to the offense.
Do you know what Pete Carroll just said in his press conference?
What?
He says Russell Wilson and Shane Waldron were just cooking. Then he laughs and he says, "Scratch that."
Surprise, surprise, Pete's a troll.
God damn it, Pete.
Pete's out here talking about scoregami last week. Now he's making let Russ cook jokes. He's reading our tweets.
He knows what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't know that we've talked enough about Chris Carson. Like, I thought he looked really good today. He looked like Chris Carson. I thought there was a number of plays that could have been losses that he turned into 6-yard gains.
Yeah.
And he caught what did he catch? 3 passes today. So, for 26 yards. And I think one of the things that stood out to me that was a difference between this offense and past offenses is there are a number of easy throws for us. Like there was at least, I can think of like 5 easy throws, even that touchdown pass to Gerald Everett, like easy. Like, and I get so frustrated watching other teams where it's like, why can they scheme guys open? And Russell's always having to come up with some miraculous throw. It was just nice to see that today. And I think the use of the tight ends in general was great. I thought Will Dissly looked like Will Dissly. Like I think he deserves a little bit of a call out as well.
Gerald Everett looked real good.
Keep your hands on the screen where we can see him, Evan.
Oh man. I'm just saying that's the extent of my analysis, but he looked good. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. He threw a great block too. Like, I mean, I think he and Dissly could be just a great 2-way, blocking and catching duo out there. So that was cool to see.
Early down pass rate was 51%. Neutral situation pass rate today, 44%. I don't know what the difference is there, Nathan. Can you explain that to me?
Well, see, early downs are the.
Oh, is that literally just the difference?
Yes.
No, the
okay.
neutral. He's just talking about
yeah.
Neutral is when the score is within a certain amount. I think it's within like 7 points.
No, typically it's done by win probability. So when you're between 20 and 80% win probability.
Right. I think their win probability probably was
there. When do you think that they went over 80% win probability?
Maybe like mid third quarter
with 50. Well, so at the very earliest, they broke it with 11 and a half minutes in the second, but they went over for good with 50 seconds left in the half.
Okay. So basically the whole second half, they were not
neutral game
script.
Yeah. But that's still really high, considering that, we're talking about the first half and really high run rate. I didn't really notice that though, and maybe it's just because if you're running well, who cares? But yeah, I didn't really feel like I definitely noticed some of the early down running, especially as the game went on. But yeah, I never was really kind of getting anxious about how much they were running the ball.
Yeah, and I don't know that I think you definitely cannot come out of this game and saying, okay, here's how the Seahawks are going to play on offense, because it's one game. There's no way to know. Like the way that the Colts were playing defense, it looked like they were sitting back in a zone because they knew that they didn't have Xavier Rhodes. They were trying to do everything they could. DK Metcalf didn't even get a target in the first half, right? And they were basically daring the Seahawks to run the ball. So that might have been a game where Russell's just counting the guys, seeing a light box, less than 7 guys, 6 guys in the box and running. And if you look at their numbers as a team, they finished with 27 carries for 140 yards, over 5 yards a carry. Chris Carson was 16 carries for 91 yards, 5.7, almost 6 yards a carry. D. Eskridge, to your point, Nathan, 2 carries for 22 yards. Like that's all he needs. He doesn't need to have a ton, but just a couple of those end arounds and those jet sweeps, like just opens other things up. And we're going to have this Tennessee game next week, which we'll talk about more on Wednesday, but who knows how the Seahawks will choose to attack that team and if it'll look the same as the way they looked.
So can I give us an injury update?
Yeah.
D. Eskridge was evaluated for a concussion. They'll know more. That was the obvious one. But it sounds like the Rashad Penny calf issue was just out of precaution. They're saying they just decided to keep him out of the remainder of the game since it was too early in the season to risk a bigger injury. Am I reading too much into that, or does that sound like
they don't need him?
Like they might trade him down the line or something?
I don't know if they're going to trade him, but like clearly they don't care about having him out there.
Yeah.
Like they just whatever. DJ Dallas, you're up. Like there's no loss there. Like,
well, did you also like how Jonathan Vilma said that DJ Dallas is essentially the same as Chris Carson, same kind of player?
I didn't hear that. Did
I
he
did
really
like that. You know, Jonathan Vilma can say some dumb stuff, but every once in a while he says something really smart.
Come on, there's no way that
God
DJ
damn it.
Dallas's style is anything like Chris Carson.
How many what Dallas had one run for like 6 yards?
5 yards, yes.
Okay, so basically the same.
Basically
the same.
Output. I'm not talking about output. They are totally different style runners.
Numbers don't lie, Brian.
Yeah.
Nathan, God damn it.
Well, so I guess what you're saying then is the Seahawks need to have hit that perfect 54 rush attempts and pass completions to get the win, which they did today, right?
Yeah. Never. It always works. It's foolproof.
It's foolproof.
They just need to open the game kneeling 3 times and they'll win 100% of the time.
Other thing that I noticed, Cody Barton was getting some rotation snaps. Do you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that he did anything particularly noticeable with them, but he was rotating, I think, for Jordan Brooks. And at some point I was like, oh, is Brooks injured? But he was on the sideline with his helmet.
Who looked really good in coverage today, by the way. Jordan Brooks did.
He did. Yeah. I thought Brian Monet had a pretty good game. Nathan, you've been a Brian Monet fan for a while. What did you think of what you saw from the defensive tackles in general?
He flattened Wentz. Like that was I'm actually surprised he didn't get a penalty because you're not really supposed to fall on him like that. But also if you're as big as Brian Monet, I don't know how else you fall. Yeah. And then I loved him following that up was just blasting the center before the ball was even snapped. So that's my expert analysis is Brian Monet big and fun.
I mean it's Evan, did you have a favorite play today?
I have a favorite play today. That's a good question.
The Lockett one has to be up there, right?
Actually, you know what it is?
Which one?
The one that Evan was talking about earlier, the Willie Mays one.
That one, the first one.
I think it might be the Will Dissly stiff arm.
Oh, that was pretty sweet.
It was pretty sweet. That was humiliating. And in fact, Darius Leonard said today, just now, we got our asses absolutely kicked. Yeah, you did, baby. That was
that Dissly stiff arm was some Jamie Moyer shit. Like Okereke did not expect him to be so slow and just completely misjudged where he was supposed to be, and Dissly was just swatted him away.
Ethan Posick, just a knee sprain.
That's good.
Very great. I thought Chris Carson's stiff arm was pretty sweet too. He had.
When did he have a stiff arm?
Oh, early in the game, along they're going left to right on the TV.
Oh,
it was along the right side of it was almost the same place that Dissly's was, except they were going the different direction.
It was the breakout run, right?
Yeah, and he just took the guy's face and shoved it in the ground. It was awesome. But my favorite play is definitely that pass that we talked about before. The 69-yard pass was very nice. Yeah.
You know who has more touchdowns than George Kittle this year?
Who?
Gerald Everett. Best tight end in the NFC West, baby. Leading the way. The stats don't lie.
Dude, we got to talk a little bit about the NFC West. All right. So we'll come back if we have more about the Seahawks. But so let's start with the 49ers. I'm going to pull up in their box score because I haven't seen it yet. Jimmy Garoppolo goes 17 of 25, 314 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Trey Lance only throws 1 pass, but it's for a touchdown. And Trey Lance has 3 carries for 2 yards. So this was pretty much a Jimmy Garoppolo game, right?
How did they just run super well? Like, how'd they get? Because both of those stat lines are pretty unimpressive, but they were up by a ton at one point.
I think it was turnovers. I'll check. But they did run reasonably well. 28 carries overall for 131 yards. Elijah Mitchell, 19 carries for 104 yards, 5.5 per carry. Raheem Mostert. I'm going to get his name right. Raheem Mostert, 2 carries for 20 yards before he went out with a knee injury. And then, oh my God, Deebo Samuel. Have a game. 9 receptions, 189 yards, 1 touchdown, 12 targets. So George Kittle had 4 catches for 78 yards, but did not have a touchdown. So did Brandon Ayuk not play? Because I don't see him listed anywhere. Maybe he just didn't get targeted. But Jimmy Garoppolo did do his thing, had a turnover like he does in every single game. But they're going against Jared Goff, and he had an interception. And let's see, like how I'd have to go back and figure out how they did bungle this so badly.
Kyler Murray is going to win NFC Player of the Week.
3 turnovers, and the Lions just had 1. So, I mean, it's just 49ers offense averaged 8 yards per play. So that seems like that was the major difference. Yeah. But anyway, so 49ers, but that Cardinals game, guys, did you guys see that coming?
No, you asked us about it before the game happened. And I think we all said that we expected the Titans to win. I said the Titans were just a better version of the Cardinals, which, whoops.
What does that say about the Titans who are coming to town next week? I mean, they're going to be pissed. That's for sure. I think I saw that Chandler Jones had 3 sacks in the first half. You want to know how many sacks he finished with?
He had at least 5, right?
He had 5 sacks. That's a monstrous game. I wonder if they were missing anybody, but like on the offensive line.
I just agree with the Cardinals management. I don't think they should extend him. He is a player that is not worth that type of cash.
I agree. I wish they trade him. Yeah. Rough.
One other thing new with the Seahawks offense, I think I'm on pace. Well, I'm talking about things that I got wrong. I think I'm on pace to get absolutely demolished on the Chris Carson targets prop bet. He had 3, which puts him well on pace to be past where I thought he would be. So be interested to see if that continues. But he had he did pretty well. 7.45 EPA per play, half a point per Carson reception. So pretty good.
Pete Carroll says, I've never seen this kind of chemistry be so obvious between a play caller and a quarterback that is between Shane Waldron and Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson already.
Wilson. I don't know what to say about that.
I've always loved Pete Carroll. These are amazing quotes.
Well, it only took him 10 years to get the OC hire right.
I'd rather keep trying than stick with what wasn't working.
Better late than never.
Yep.
Well, I think third down and red zone are two situations we didn't really know how Shane Waldron was going to do, and the Seahawks have not been great in third downs, but have been pretty good in red zone. 2 for 2 in the red zone today. Ended up 4 for 9 on third down, but I think that's pretty misleading because there was a couple times that Russ was just diving into the ground. They weren't really trying to convert. So it seemed like reasonable performance on third down. And if I'm going to nitpick a little bit, they only had 18 first downs today overall. Like I think that they weren't necessarily moving the chains that consistently, especially in the second half. They only had that 1 touchdown, but first half was terrific. So what else? Okay.
Is there a single Colts player you would take, a single Colts skill player that you would take over the Seahawks skill player? Like how far would you take Jonathan Taylor over Chris Carson?
No.
Okay.
Not right now.
And would you take Nyheim Hines over like any of the Seahawks running backs?
Yeah, I think maybe. He actually is a really interesting weapon. He can really play receiver pretty well. So I would take him over Penn for sure.
I guess. I don't know. And then like for the receivers, like I mean, you would take Michael Pittman because he's so young, but would you take any of these other receivers, like even over the guys, like any of the 4 guys Seattle has? I thought Swain looked good today. He looks just perky. He not amazing player, but whenever he gets the ball, he's moving a little bit.
Interesting that he jumped out to you. He did not. I mean, we saw pretty much. It seemed like Eskridge was getting the snaps. Did not see a lot of Freddie Swain from what I recall.
No, there wasn't. But just when he got the ball, I mean, he looks like a a pretty solid NFL athlete. I think.
People like your perky description.
I was gonna say that's quite the adjective.
Calm down, Evan.
Man.
What else, Evan? I mean, Seahawks
yeah, what a win. Bengals just beat the Vikings in overtime. Buzzer beater kicker.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty big upset.
That is a big upset, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Are the Bengals maybe going to be good this year?
Well, they feel like Joe Burrow.
Huh?
I like Joe Burrow.
Oh, yeah, you do? Okay, yeah. I mean, Burrow and then Chase. I don't know how his day looked overall, but he caught like a 60-yard touchdown pass or something.
What about being a Falcons fan?
What'd they do today? What happened?
That's Eagles 32-6 at home.
Oh, Jalen Hurts, I heard, played well.
Yeah, 27-35, 264 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions.
How did Jalen Reagor do?
Did he get injured?
6 catches for 49 yards, 1 touchdown.
Hey, my fantasy team likes that.
I figured it was a fantasy question. Yeah, I know a lot of people have Miles Sanders. He had 15 carries for 74 yards and also had 4 catches for 39 yards. But yeah, Jalen Hurts looked legit. But man,
wait, the Jags lost?
I know Houston showed up.
It's not weird that the Jags lost.
Yeah,
but
I can't quite get behind that reaction, but
they got killed, right?
I mean, 37-21 is sizable.
Yeah. Well, Trevor Lawrence had a rookie start. You know, he threw for a bunch of yards, 332 yards, but he had 3 touchdowns, which is awesome. But he had 3 picks.
28-51, though. That's not efficient.
Carlos Hyde, Nathan's guy, 9 carries for 44 yards.
Oh no, I didn't actually start Jalen Reagor.
Interesting. Mark Ingram played pretty well for Houston. 26 carries. Well, I guess that's not that. I thought he had 20 carries, but it's 26 for 85 yards. So that's not great. But yeah, Tyrod Taylor kind of did his job. Interesting. It's an interesting outcome.
So Russell, just a quick stat I'm seeing from Next Gen Stats. He faced a 46.2% pressure rate today by the Colts pass rush. All 3 touchdowns came under pressure. 5 of 9 for 68 yards, 3 touchdowns while under pressure.
The Bills lost to Pittsburgh?
They did.
Yeah, they had a punt blocked.
Oh, we're not talking about Michael Dixon's amazing save, by the way.
You know what? I'm so glad you brought that up. Just talk about it. I thought that was one of the easiest to miss plays and most underrated parts of this game.
Well, initially, I think the announcers said he had dropped the ball, which is not the case upon review. It looks like a rusher just broke free, and it looked Dixon thought he was going to block it. So, he scrambled to the right and barely got it off. And by the way, I was raving about Dixon's slight tap of the ball. Did you guys see how the distance that his leg moved to kick the football and how far the football went? Did you guys notice that at all? He tapped the football and it went 60 yards.
You know what I noticed was that he had 2 guys hanging on him. He was able to kick the ball with 2 guys hanging on him and get it inside the 30-yard line. They that play easily could have been. I think the Seahawks were only up at that point, maybe. Was it 14-10 at that point or something like it was still pretty close. And the Colts would have gotten the ball in Seahawks territory, but instead, they have a 5-yard legal man downfield penalty. So it ends up they get ball the 33. I mean, that was a huge difference. Could have been a turning point if he wasn't able to do that.
Oh God. Kyle Shanahan said he's in talks with Richard Sherman.
Oh,
that would not be great.
That would just, oh my God, that would ruin me. I mean, if he goes in there and plays great for that team and we are struggling at corner the whole year. Oh my God. That's the one thing you could have said that was going to get me pissed off. Nice
yeah. Let's pretend that just doesn't happen. Let's just ignore that reality.
Is Jamar Chase the guy that said he couldn't adjust to the NFL football?
Yeah.
People blew that. He said it was harder to catch the ball, not that you couldn't adjust. He looked fine today.
I like my clickbait, Nathan. Calm down.
I did enjoy. There was, I don't know, somebody dropped a ball, I think, in a game. I don't even know what it was. And like my timeline on Twitter was just like a million Jamar Chase jokes.
The Browns are up 8-0 on the Chiefs early on. And New Orleans is up on Green Bay at the end of the first, 3-0. Did you hear that they picked their home stadium for this game based on which location would be hardest for Green Bay fans to travel to? That's how Sean Payton picked the playing in Jacksonville, actually. Which I don't quite understand, but that'd be a big result if that could hold up. All right. Anything else that we want to cover, guys? I mean, this is fun. How are you feeling? Let me ask you this. Overreaction immediately after the game. How has your perception or perspective on the team changed at all after seeing one full game? And you can say, if it's not the full team, you can say, hey, there's this part of the team I feel much better about than I did before, or much worse about than I did before.
The offense for me is slightly better than I had hoped for, and the defense played much better than I had hoped for. Overall, my perspective on the team is definitely more optimistic. We did not have a single game, with maybe the exception of the Falcons last year, where the Seahawks put it all together like this in a single week, both on the offensive side and defensive side of the football.
Nathan, what about you?
I don't think it's changed my opinion too much. I mean, I'm still kind of wait and see on the defense. The offense has come together a lot sooner than I expected, and Pete was hinting that there's a lot more to come, right? So I think I'm probably more optimistic about where this offense is going to end up at. But overall, I think this is basically what this game should have looked like against that team. So not a big change.
Yeah, I think for me, I thought the Seahawks were going to have a great special teams, and I think they had that today. Shout out to John Hurlbut, who's going to have 4 donations to make based off the 4 Jason Myers extra points that were turned in today. So I thought the special teams looked great. So they met expectations for me. I wasn't sure how the offense was going to come out of the gates. I think they performed better than I would have expected, but they ran more than I would have expected. And I think I didn't see as many scheme plays as I kind of expected, where you're going to see a lot of the jet sweeps and a lot of the toss plays. And off of that, so I can't say I really understand fully what the offense is going to look like yet week to week. And honestly, I feel like when I looked at the Colts heading into this game, I didn't get their offseason plan at all, to be honest. They let 2 of their best pass rushers go in Houston and Dayna O'Gorman, and they only replaced it with a rookie first-round pick who they were really high on, but it just seemed like their pass rush was going to be much different than it was last year. And so I don't know how much we can bank on how the offensive line played in this game. I think we might find that this Colts team in general might not be as good as they were last year. And so that's what's a little bit hard to judge. This felt to me, and part of it was because Carson Wentz is in there, this felt to me a lot like the Seahawks playing the Eagles, whereas like the offense never really that we're facing never really felt threatening. And there's getting good pressure. And the defense that the Colts put out there just wasn't that impressive. So yeah, I think maybe the biggest thing that I come out of here excited about is the pass rush, which is where I started. I think I've been bullish on the pass rush before and then seen them go into a game and just be totally shut down against backup offensive linemen. How many times we had that conversation on a Wednesday and then coming for the next post game, we're like, they could not get to the quarterback at all. And seeing that many different guys apply pressure, I think that was at the high end, the high end of my expectations. So I think that's the part. And I do think this was a good offensive line. I don't think they're that banged up, so I come out pretty bullish on that part, and they're going to need it next week and the week after that and the week after that. Cause I think the cornerback play was just okay. As we expected. It was not terrible, but it was just okay. So
Saints up 10-0 on the Packers.
I'm going to have to turn that on. Any final parting thoughts?
No, I just wonder, like, what would my health status look like over the past decade if, this is how the Seahawks played, like on a weekly basis. I feel so calm.
On the road. I mean, it's not easy. It's just not easy to play a 10 a.m. game on the road.
They dominated them the entire game in complete control. There was never a moment, except for maybe a couple minutes in the third quarter, where I was like, it was actually when Chris Carson fumbled. I was like, okay, this could be a turning point, but our defense held up. Kudos to them.
Oh yeah, the Carson fumbles are back.
Was it?
Pick up on that.
I couldn't tell. Was that just a good play by the defender, or was Carson just?
That was a great play.
Both. It was both, because Carson was holding that ball not very well. The ball can't come shooting out like that.
He had two hands on it.
No, he didn't. He didn't. I mean, he had two. He
like
had
this.
He had, yeah, but he didn't have anything under, so it just went boop and it went shooting out. Yeah. So I mean, it wasn't. It was a nice punch by the defender for sure, but I think Carson. I mean, yeah, obviously not great.
You don't want to see that. I'm going to give a shout out to Lucas Moore in our chat, who was participating in our Wednesday show. He's a Colts fan and was talking a bunch of smack, and he came in here graciously to say, I talked a lot of shit in here before that game. We got smacked good. Good game, Seahawks fans. Good luck this season. So love seeing that. Never mind having opposing fans in our chat as long as they're not douchebags. So no
49ers fans.
Exactly. All right. Oh man, this is well, I'm gonna have to go back and look at other season openers. Last year's season opener was pretty encouraging. 38-25. We got to see like Russ cook like crazy in that game. But I think Atlanta was a broken team. This is a playoff team that the Seahawks were playing, and they came out to win. What are you guys laughing at?
Oh, Atlanta, a broken team. What?
I just look at the tweet I just shared in our group chat.
Uh-oh.
In the words in our Twitter group chat.
While we pull that up, I just want to put out there that I think the Jamal Adams All-Pro campaign has gotten off to a rocky start. I think he has to play a lot better than. What is this?
In the words of Jimmy Garoppolo, let's go Hawks.
You got a 2015 tweet from him.
Yeah.
Nice, dude. That's great. All right. Who did you say, Nathan? I missed that.
Jamal Adams, his All-Pro campaign.
Yeah, we should talk about Jamal for a couple minutes at least. So go ahead. I know where you're going to go with this. Finish your thought.
I mean, it's impossible to say really, because they weren't asking him to like blitz a ton, which is definitely noticeable. And the coverage was pretty good, but there's no skilled players and we don't get to see what he's doing back there. I appreciate how much he likes to like jump and fly around kind of needlessly a lot of times, just to like be like, I'm Jamal Adams, I'm here, I'm doing something. But overall, I thought it was it wasn't bad by any stretch, but I don't think it was any kind of a kick off your All-Pro campaign type of game either.
Yeah,
forgettable. I would say
certainly was not a stat piling kind of game for Jamal Adams. He finishes with fourth on the team with 6 tackles, 6 solo. 6 tackles, 3 solo. Had the offsides penalty. So I thought he definitely had a different utilization than he had last year. We did not see him blitzing almost at all. He was not in the box like 90% of the time like he was. I mean, I think he played down near the line of scrimmage a fair amount, but he was playing coverage, and I think it's going to be hard for us to tell how he played in coverage without the all 22. It's just none of us can really say how he played in coverage confidently. until you review that tape. So it is different. And maybe it'll be a good thing. Maybe it'll be that we'll find out that he actually played some really good coverage and is showing that he can be more than what he was last year. And all the criticism of him being one-dimensional, can maybe start to dissipate a little bit. So hard to say. I think we'll have to wait and see. But I was not encouraged or discouraged by what I saw from Jamal today. How did you feel about DK's hair?
I hated it.
The color.
I'm sorry. I hate it.
I love it.
Doesn't fit him. He needs to go back to pink or green.
It was
got some real
faded. Like I
got some real Mama Blue vibes to it.
You're right. There's a little Mama Blue. That's true. It just felt a little. It wasn't as bold as he usually goes. It felt a little faded. Okay, cool. Let's wrap it at there. This was a bunch of fun, guys. Seahawks are 1-0. We'll have our next Seahawks Real Hawk Talk coming up Wednesday evening at 8:00 Pacific time. Between now and then, please click the thumbs up on the show. It takes a second. Click subscribe. Trying to get up to 7,000 subscribers on the way to 10,000 for the season. Click the bell to get notified when we go live in case they sign a Geno Atkins or something else happens and we want to talk to you about it. And then go over to patreon.com/hawkblogger. Get immediate access to the Slack channel. All sorts of great conversation goes on in between all the Real Hawk Talks and throughout. So people are watching the game together in there and having a great chat. So be awesome to have you join. Love to have you there. And we will see you all Wednesday evening. Until then, enjoy.